Well, I thought my tripod was in there. I'll have to look in the greenhouse. You see how pretty it is with the snow everywhere. My little DIY greenhouse is just doing wonderfully. I'm loving it. I need to shovel out to the doorway. I'm thinking I might put some of my winter sowing jugs in there just to test it. I would have to water them because they're not going to be able to get water from the rain and snow, but it would just be a fun little trial. Okay, I've got my hands full, so to open the door, I will have to put down the camera. Okay, so my tripod's not in here either. I have to go figure out where I put it. Maybe it's sitting in the house. Oh, I know exactly where it's at. It's in my dining room. Goofy me. For some reason, I thought it was in the studio. The cottage. Studio cottage. Okay, so I'm going to turn my heater on. My heat down here. And then it can start heating up in here. Let's see what's the temperature. 30 degrees. Maybe creep it up to 32. So that's how cold it is, and I need some heat. All right, off to get my tripod. I won't take you along for that. I'll be right back. Hey garden friends, we are finally back out in the greenhouse. It has been so cold. It's been getting down into the teens at night, therefore it's very cold in here. I will tell you that I have been moving some of my geraniums that I had overwintering in here. Can you see this one? Yes, you can. Yeah, you see how sad that looks? That's because it's been so cold in here, and those geraniums don't like it. They lasted great up until this last couple weeks. Because it had been relatively warm for us. But having them look like this, I didn't want to lose them, and even this one up here. So I have been moving them into Primrose Cottage. And they're on the windowsills, and they get enough light, etc. But more importantly, it doesn't get as cold in there because I have a small heater going all the time, so my paints don't freeze, etc. So those two. That one over there, I may move to the basement now and let it finish overwintering in there, and I'll pull it out probably April-ish. This one, it's small enough it can go into Primrose Cottage for the rest of the winter. I do have a few ivy geraniums in here. Those two may go in there. I'll have room. I need to put up a few more shelves in there so I can overwinter more plants. So today, what are we going to talk about? Today, we are going to talk about I do have a bunch of seeds I'm going to winter sow. I brought them out, but I'm not necessarily going to sow them all today. But we are going to winter sow some Larkspur and Delphiniums. And I have plenty of these. I texted my sister again and asked for more, and she brought me 2 big garbage bags full. So I will continue to do that. I did want to get to talking about Larkspur and Delphinium, same family. This is a cheap dollar store seed packet. Now with Delphiniums, some will recommend cold stratification. Now these are ones that I tried to do where you froze them. Some people said freeze them in ice cubes, like a seed in an ice cube, then plant the ice cube in the soil after you've let them freeze for a couple days. Didn't work. I got not one germinated, not even one. I also froze them in a moist coffee filter. Again, not one germinated. After I pulled it out, planted the seeds in the soil, put them on my light rack, didn't work. I have had them work with winter sowing, but the main trick I have used to get delphiniums to germinate and grow for me is I put them in a moist coffee filter in a baggie, put it on top of my refrigerator, kept checking it every single day, make sure it was kept moist in a sealed plastic baggie. I had it in a sandwich bag. It usually stays moist. I don't have to re-moisten it. But in 7 to 10 days, they have germinated. And then I just, with a tweezers, I plant them into the soil, and then they continue to grow. That had no cold stratification. But that is the best way I have gotten mine to germinate and grow. Now, Dowdswell Delphiniums, before they sold to this new company, they used to link to my blog post all about that, how I got it started. And then when the new company bought them, they actually came out and said, don't do it that way because it doesn't work. It's not a recommended way for good germination. So through all of my trials in the last 10 years, the paper towel, some people use a paper towel or a coffee filter in a baggie, germinate, then plant, has been the way I have gotten the most of my delphiniums to grow. So I don't care what anybody else says. I know what works for me, and that's what I will go with. But this packet, this says 4 for $1. It's probably, I got these at Dollar General. I am going to winter sow all of these in here. I can buy more. I thought I had pulled some more out. I might have. At the store to start, like I just said, with the coffee filter and then put into soil. But I wanted to give the winter sowing method one more try. Or 2 more. I don't know. I might continue to do it. Last year, my jug got smashed by the heavy snows, so it didn't work for me last year. Larkspur, I have tons of the blue all throughout my garden where it's reseeded itself. It reseeds itself, comes up, germinates, starts growing in fall, and they're all about this big. And then we finally got cold weather, and that just stopped them. They will stay put. And then come spring, when things warm up, they will leap into action and start growing again. But Larkspur are also a good one to winter sow. And as I said before, they are in the same family as the Delphiniums. So there's that. So I have one jug here. I've got more going underneath. Let me see. I thought I had another thing or package of, yeah, there's the white glitter. Delphiniums over here. I have bachelor buttons. Forget-me-nots. Have you ever done forget-me-nots? This one, yeah. I have some out front and they reseed beautifully, but I wanted to try to winter sow them since they reseed and grow for me. Now here is a Larkspur that is from 2014. I was going to try those. All it is a bunch of dirt in a jug, so it can't hurt. Nope, I don't have any more delphiniums. I wonder what I did with it. Okay, so be it. I probably set it down. And you know what's another thing to winter sow, but not in jugs, direct out in the soil, is poppies. So I'm going to go out after I'm done in here, and I'm going to spread these seeds. This is the Hungarian breadseed poppy, and then I have a bunch of seeds over here that I collected. Let me see if you can see them in there. That I collected from my Lauren's grape, which was just beautiful. And I know exactly where I want to put them all. So I'll put that over there with those. And I will spread them out in the landscape right on top of the snow. So let me take a sip of my coffee. Put it far enough away I won't get dirt in it. Oh, that was snow falling off. Okay, let me scoop up some soil that's not frozen. This is frozen in here because it was moist. Let me see if this is, oh, I'm going to have to dig at. Give me a minute to dig. Okay, I got some soil, potting soil. This is potting, Edna's Best Potting Soil by E.B. Stone Organics. I use that because, number one, it's a high quality potting mix soil. Number two, I can use it for everything. Seed starting, whatever. I do not go and buy a dedicated seed starting mix. I have ran a test on it. It was no better using a more expensive seed starting mix than it was just using the potting soil I have on hand. And I've also made my own potting soil with components. And I think I have a blog post. I have a blog post. I think I have a video on that too. But I should make a new one, but I need to get all my stuff for that yet. Okay, so now I'm going to go through all the steps I take because I had one viewer say she really appreciated me taking you through it all rather than just jumping right into something. Meaning that if I didn't explain to you, which I've explained to you before, how I get these all ready for winter sowing. Now, first of all, sanitize. I put them in a sink of hot water with some bleach. I let it go in there and I put the lid on it. I'll shake it. Get if there's any dried milk in here that's stuck. And then I will heat a tool. Some people use some people say a soldering iron. Some people use a hot glue gun and the tip is hot so it burns holes in it. I have a skewer that I heat on my stove, which is gas, or in here I have my little campfire stove going. Is it burning? Anyways, I heat it in here. I poke the holes with that. I started putting them in the top because somebody recommended that. I don't know if it makes a difference. I've been perfectly successful with only the moisture going through the top hole. So then I cut with scissors because I'm pretty crazy with a box cutter. And then I cut around to open up. So I have a couple of videos on winter sowing and in containers how I prepare them. So if you want to go back and view those too. So I think I covered it all. So I try to leave enough here to really get a depth of soil in here. That way, come spring, if I don't want to, I don't have to pot these up. They will get large. They'll get tall enough and big enough that I can go right to the garden from this container. Also, I try to sow them, the seeds, space them apart. Sometimes, I don't always, I will admit that. Space them apart far enough that they're easy to get apart once they're big enough to go either be potted up or to go directly in the garden. So here we have it. I have the soil in there. I'm going to flatten it a little bit. That one's frozen chunk. That's what happens when your greenhouse freezes. But it's all good. I mean, with me standing next to this heater, I got this little heater I showed you at Costco. It does beautiful of just directing heat right at me and keeping me warm enough in here. So we will go with my Pacific Giants Mix Delphinium. Now the ones I get at Dowd's Wells, they're called Centurion. They're different. They're supposed to be better in some ways. I can not vouch for that because I've not grown the Pacific Giants Mix before. I've only grown the Centurion, and then there's one out front, and I can't remember. It's called Night something. I'll try to look it up if I can find it. But I've had that for 10 years, and it still comes up every year. But it hasn't reseeded, which is very interesting. Now, next spring, I will try to take cuttings, basil cuttings from it, and start some more, because that thing is just the most gorgeous blue. So I've got some seeds out in my hand. And can you see my little jug here? Maybe I need to tilt you down a little bit so you get a better view. Okay, there we go. Better view. My scissors over here. I should put things away so I can find them easier. Okay, so I'm going to put these seeds like 1 inch apart. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make little divots so I can see what I've done. So that will fit like 4 across. Now, since these were so inexpensive, I'm going to sow a lot of them. So I'm going to put a seed in each divot. I should look up and see what it says about the depth, how much soil to put on top. Okay, cover seeds 1/8 of an inch, so I'll just be very careful to cover lightly, not too much, and I'll try to do this in order so that I'm going row by row so I don't double sow them. Now, if I got 2 in one, it's no big deal. Not a big deal at all. So, especially as these were so inexpensive. Now, one thing about delphiniums is you can save the seeds at the end of the year if you let them go to seed. And I think I do have a post on growing delphiniums. I don't know that I have a video. I do have a video on already, but I'll do it again because it's probably very poor quality. When I first started, I was just learning videoing, but on how I do the cuttings of it. So if you wanted to propagate them that way. Now I have the last couple years lost several of my big, beautiful delphiniums to the gophers eating the roots. And that's been devastating because they were gorgeous. I have pictures of my purple ones. They were just massive. I had one called Cobalt Blue, which was just the most beautiful blue. There's the one over in my rose cottage garden that is still going strong. They haven't eaten that one. But it's just amazing. Now what I'm doing here, I'm taking the Posco pin. This is what I mark my thing with. And I'm just tapping a little bit of the soil onto the seeds, and as I tap between the rows, the soil kind of falls into those divots, so it's very shallow. Now, some people will sprinkle vermiculite on top, which will hold moisture. I've done it with and without. I've had equal success either way. Vermiculite can get quite expensive, so I save it for projects that I do for indoor sowing more than for the outdoor sowing. Okay, so there goes that. Uh-oh, what was this? Oh, I think this was my crazy daisy. I didn't put it away. I love my crazy daisies. I've shown you the pictures of them before. Yep, that's what it was. Okay, so there is my delphiniums. This is Pacific Giants mix. I could get purple, I could get blue, I could get lavender, dusky pink or white. So you never know what you're going to get. Just be willing to accept what you get. Okay, so now duct tape. Now, as I said, the top has holes in it. There's some along the bottom sides and in the bottom. And some people ask how many holes. I don't count. I just put plenty. So I'm going to make this long to make sure I go all the way around. And plenty, because good drainage is key. And this soil was frozen, but it was moist. Before, that's why it is frozen, because it was so moist. If it was not moist, it would not have froze. Okay, so let's go around this thing. Now, one viewer had said she had got syrup jugs from a local restaurant, and they were big like this. I guess they refill their syrup containers with it, and they were sturdier than the milk jugs, which makes sense, and they made great seed starting things. I thought that's a great idea. If you grow in, like some people get 5-gallon buckets to grow things in, I always recommend get the food ones from bakeries or whatever. They get frosting in those big tubs, and we have a local restaurant that get their pickles in the big 5-gallons. Don't use for food growing the buckets from like Lowe's or Home Depot or stuff like that, because it's not food grade. You don't know what will leach into the soil through the season, especially as they heat up and the moisture going in there. Anyways, just make sure you have food grade. And that's one thing nice about her getting the jugs from a restaurant for the syrup. It is food grade. Okay, and she says she uses clear duct tape. I've never found clear duct tape, but I've not looked either. So, okay, so I'm going to put the name of the seeds. This is Pacific Giant. Now, there's different colors. I have the multi-pack of the Posca pins. Now you can get just black, which would show up really well. I just grabbed what I had in my studio cottage, Pacific Giant. And then I'll just put delphiniums over here. Delph's Mix. Okay, sometimes I will put a tab inside. Let me see. Like one of these, I'll sanitize them, because sometimes this, if you don't sanitize them, they'll get mildew on it. And then I'll write on it and stick it down inside. But I don't always do that. I did sanitize a bunch when I did these jugs. Delphs. And I just put Pacific Giant. So there is my delphiniums that I have winter sowed. I will get more. I will sow some of these inside because there's plenty in here, but I will get more, like if I just want blue to put somewhere. Now here is the Larkspur. This was also a cheap packet of seeds. Don't be afraid to buy these seeds. They're wonderful. You get a lot for your money. You don't have to buy specialized seeds. I do have particular companies I like to buy from. And I do so when I'm buying particular things, because a lot of times these inexpensive seed packets like this, it's a mix. You don't have just one color, and if you want just one color, you can go with that. Now these seeds are so almost exactly like those seeds looking. If I was just looking at the seeds, I would think they were the same. Okay, another jug down here, ready to roll. And we will fill it up. So funny. This is so frozen. Now, it looks like the sun's trying to come through. As I said before, we're supposed to get rain today, and then later on, it is supposed to snow. So maybe the temperature's coming up. Oh, I don't know if it's because my heater's right here, but that has gone up to almost 38. Yeah, like I said, it's supposed to rain first, and then by 4 or 5 it's supposed to snow, and we might get like a foot of snow. It's supposed to snow most of tomorrow. So I most likely will be in Primrose Cottage tomorrow, cleaning more, but also I have a painting lesson I want to get started on. I'm in the mood to paint again, and it's a Highland cow. And I have to practice first before I can teach it. So get it down where I make it as easy as possible, because I aim for beginners who I'm teaching. Now this one I'm not going to separate. I am going to just freely sow. And I do this a lot of times with winter sowing too. I've had great success. So I'm just going to take a pinch of seeds and sprinkle them all around. I may do extra, more than like I did the delphiniums in there. Now this is just an alternate way of doing it. You can do it however way you want. So this one also, let me make sure. Days to germinate, 21. Wow. Depth, 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so yeah, let me see if I got something bigger around. Make it a little faster. This is a measuring cup that I measure my liquid organic fertilizers with. I use the organic fertilizers. Both of them that I used are pre-digested. With organic fertilizers, usually the soil microbes have to digest the nutrients for the plants, so the plants can't utilize it until it's digested. But with the pre-digested, the ones I use, then that isn't necessary. It can just get going. Just is immediately available to the plant. Some people say that the synthetics are better in that they are immediately available to the plants rather than the organic, because organic has to be digested. Well, that just put that to rest. I'd rather use organic because it feeds the soil, not just the plant. And yeah, especially with food growing, etc. So that puts that to bed right there, as far as synthetics being better for that reason. Okay. Tape all the way around. Sometimes I have to cut another piece of tape because I've gotten too short, but you know, there's no perfect science to this. I just wing it. Try not to be perfect. You just steal your own joy from the garden. And if you've looked at any of my garden tours, you will see that it is never perfect, picture perfect. No show garden here. This is reality. My garden is my getaway, my relaxation. If I was worried about it being perfect for people to see, it would just totally rob me of my joy in it, because I'd be nervous about sharing it. And I like sharing my garden, warts and all. Okay, I'm just putting Larkspur on here. As I said, I have tons already growing out in my garden, and it's all most of it's a beautiful blue, really beautiful blue, and it's coming up in my pathway of my secret cottage garden, the pathway to the chicken pen, places I didn't want it, but I was digging it up. Now, they will say that you cannot transplant larkspur. It doesn't like the root disturbance. But how I do it is I take a shovel and I dig down deep underneath the roots. I pull it up, a whole mass of it when it's growing out there, and then I move it to the new section and plant it down in a deep hole, and it doesn't even realize it's been moved. And I will share with you next spring what I moved into, I think the rose cottage garden. I moved a bunch, and I may have done in the entrance garden too, because I didn't want it in the path. It was going to get killed there. I was going to have to mow it down. So I took a chance and moved it. What died, died. What lives is great. And it will reseed in place like crazy. If you don't want it to reseed, you will have to cut it back. Okay, so that's my little bit of getting done out here. A couple of winter sowing projects before I have an appointment in another town. A lot of you know who are regular here. I had a dental emergency last week. And when they did the scan, the dentist was wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Anyways, they found some cloudiness in my carotid arteries. That could be a bad thing. So I have a doctor's appointment today. We're supposed to get that talked about and cleared up. But I wanted to say that last year, when I was being seen for my high blood pressure, my mom died from a stroke that she had because she had her carotid artery on the right side was like 95% blocked. And so when I started having high blood pressure problems, I asked my doctor, could that be the issue? And he kind of shrugged it aside. And I didn't pursue it. That is a big mistake because, as according to the dentist, that shadowing could be the carotid becoming clogged. This is a family history medical problem, and I should have insisted last year that that be checked thoroughly, and I didn't because I trusted him. Okay, you don't think that's it? End of story. Bad idea. Be your own advocate. Don't let them shove aside something that your little brain signals are saying, this might be it. Follow it through. That's all I have to say with that. And that's why I think this dentist was so magnificent. He really was concerned about my health, not just getting my teeth fixed. And that's another thing. You may be seeing a change in my jawline because come to find out that it's been narrowing and it's been obstructing my breathing, what do you call it? Breathing pathway? I don't know. Anyways, so it's probably why I snore so badly now, and I never did in the past. So that's something that is going to be fixed, I hope. So, like I said, I may be talking through some braces or whatever to expand my jawline to help my airway better. Alrighty, friends, that's my little spiel, my little helpful spiel, and my little chit-chat with starting delphiniums and larkspur with winter sowing. And when I decide to start them indoors on my light rack, if I do, we'll see how much room I have this year. I have a lot of petunias to get started. I will bring you along on that too. And you know what? I may even do a seed starting mix compared to the potting soil test again and take you along that, and we can see really what is working best, as well as the cold stratification of echinacea and the delphiniums and all of that. It's just some ideas that might need thorough investigation. I know my camera's a little crooked. Sorry about that, but it's drizzling out here and I didn't want it to get wet. So right down here is where I'm going to sow the poppy seeds that right along this wall. I think, well, some of them. So first I'm throwing out a bunch of the Lawrence grape. Hopefully I'm in the camera. Along this wall. This wall is a hot spot, especially in spring, so they should germinate early. One thing about when you collect your own seeds from your own poppies, you get tons. So now I'm going to open my package of the Hungarian bread seed. I don't think it's very heavy, so maybe I can move my camera out here and you can see a little better. Okay, I'll need to be quick with this because I don't want it to get all wet. It's not waterproof. So this is the Hungarian bread seed. And can you see down here's the snow? I'm just throwing them on top of the snow. I will do this whole packet. This whole packet was $3 or $4, so. Oh yeah, they're even blue. How interesting. Anyway, there's a lavender in here somewhere. Some of the larkspur from that reseeded itself is along here. And yeah, now that was plenty of that there. So I have more I can plant in other spots around the garden. But right on top of the snow, the rain, the snow, it'll all go down into the soil and be great. Yep, some birds may eat some of them because they like anything they spot on the soil, on the top of the snow. But it's raining now, it'll start snowing, it'll be covered. So all is good. So I'm gonna go and figure out where else I wanna put some, and then I'll spread those out too while I'm doing it. Down here, if you watched me, this is my little terracotta pot miniature garden with the succulents and sedums. It's all getting snowed in, but they'll be fine. They're cold hardy. Okay, I hope again that you enjoyed this video. Please give it a double thumbs up or I don't know if you can give it a double thumbs up. That's just me. And share with your friends. I will see you in my next video where I will probably be starting petunias from seed and sharing with you all of that. So that's one of them that's coming up really soon. Okay, and check out my painting website or channel, PamelaGropey.com or Pamela Gropey on YouTube, and see what I have there and watch for my upcoming Highland Cow video and blog post. So if you want to learn how to paint. So we'll do that. Okay, I will see you later.